Hey, it's Monday and we are back. We're back with the weekly wrap up. Now we are live on Instagram, X, YouTube. Hang on. And then getting started in crypto. Was there anywhere else we're live? But hang on, X.
Did you say
YouTube.
LinkedIn? I wasn't.
LinkedIn. That's it. I knew there was one missing.
Yeah. Excellent. Good. And we've got people joining us from around the world already. JP on YouTube, Sadie and Liz from Getting Started in Crypto. Great to see you here. Big week coming up. I know that in the chat earlier, other Signals expert just put some key events for what we've got to watch out for, including obviously the elections in the US. So
so this is huge week for markets as a whole, depending on who gets voted in. If we get obviously a Trump second presidency, he's a bit more crypto friendly, so it looks, and I think we should get some market volatility. Either way, we're going to get market volatility, whether the market decides they like it or they don't. It's going to go up or down. That's pretty much it.
So a lot of FA there, but when it comes to the TA, what do the charts seem to be telling you at the moment?
Yeah, so the charts are saying that, we're also at a pivot point where it could go up or down. So, and that's dependent on a lot of things. So we've got jobs data coming in this week, and then we've got a FOMC meeting next week where it's expected that we will get a 25 basis points cut. So that is good for the markets as a whole. But that does depend on who gets in this. The FOMC is saying that they're staying apolitical, which likely, regardless of what happens in the elections, that's not going to affect whether we get a 25 basis points in the US. That should flow on to other countries around the world. It usually does. And hopefully that will kickstart something to happen in the market. It's been a long time coming. We're on the verge of, literally moving. So when we go into the dominance, we can see that Bitcoin is climbing and, just engulfing the market. So the alts at the moment are bleeding. So we're not going to look at a lot of alts today, just due to the fact that they are bleeding because of this dominance. It's currently 60.51%, which is huge. Like in a market that's got millions of coins and Bitcoin is holding 60% of that market. Of course, money doesn't just magically come into the market. It has to come from somewhere. So we don't have a lot of retail in the market yet. Bitcoin hasn't hit those markers where it's constantly making news and that sort of thing. So for that to happen, price needs to go up, dominance needs to go up. We are looking at potentially hitting around 63 to 65 on this dominance before we sort of get some sort of relief. So it's still going to climb up, and we can see that DXY is declining at the moment. We've had a sharp pullback. So there is a potential that it could come all the way back. Let's move this pivot. So the blue dashed lines are pivots on my charts. Could come all the way back to this region down here. And that could be like first, second, third, or this could be an ABC and then coming further down. We have had a very strong rejection on the RSI as well, and that's come back down. So this is the daily for this chart. Support is about 103 on the DXY. So whether it holds support there and continues up is yet to be seen. And I think that's going to be very dependent on the USA elections as well. So it's another thing. When this does come down, it does allow breathing space for Bitcoin and alts because they work on a seesaw effect. If you've watched me, I've explained that many times before. So that's kind of what's happening with the DXY. Total has hit the resistance and come back down, hasn't hit support yet. So I would think we've probably got a little bit more sideways or a little bit more sort of volatility coming in for that before it does sort of creep past. The total 2, again, is just stuck in the resistance of the MAs. So 100 and 200 MA, and it's rejecting strongly from those. It is holding a support region though. So when we have a look, we can see we've got a support region coming up along here. So we're on a sort of a pivotal point of the market where we could go up or we could go down. And I know that's not what anyone wants to hear, but there's two different patterns on BTC at the moment, where obviously we get a larger dip and, you know, a WXY within this pattern here. So, you know, we've got, if we're looking at wave patterns, our oops, that's not how that goes. Hang on, get that one again. WXY. So there we go. Our W down here, our X and our Y could be complete. And we could be on the next phase of this market, with this being like the first sort of moves of, you know, a 5 wave. We don't quite have 5 waves yet. So depending on how that looks, this could look like this. So 1, 2, 3, coming up a little bit higher, coming back down for the 4, and then up for the 5. So potentially that's kind of, you know, what it could be. We could get a larger breakout with this 4th wave coming back down and sitting on that previous resistance and flipping that into support. That's the ideal scenario for Bitcoin. So this is sort of heading to about 98. We're sort of hitting that sort of 73, 75 range, and then potentially going higher. Excuse me. So if I grab one of my other charts and then I just break that down a little bit more for you, we can see that we're in this potential 3rd wave. So this is a 4-hour chart, so it's a little bit lower time frame. We don't have enough waves in this pattern here yet. So at the moment, it's just 3 waves. So it needs to be 5 waves. This wave here is a 4th wave completing. So if we're looking at this in sort of a mode that we're measuring waves for Elliott wave, the 3rd wave can't be the shortest wave. So if we're measuring sort of how far we could go, so 27% is to the resistance. So 26% is the 1st wave. So unless we get a mega truncated 5th wave, this wave here will likely go to this resistance or a little bit higher. So that's kind of what's looking like at the moment. Now, if this wave is only going to go sort of to that previous all-time high, it then becomes a truncated wave. So that then can't be the shortest, which means we get an extended, we won't get an extended 5th wave. So that 5th wave will be quite short. So, and that's kind of why I'm thinking that, you know, we might not go much higher. We'll come back for that 4th wave. So a whole lot of scenarios currently for this, and it all depends on what happens over the next few days. We've got a positive cross on the RSI, and we've got a positive cross on the 4-hour on the MACD. So that is showing bullish momentum in that region. And yeah, so likely that inverse head and shoulders is the most likely to play out. Will be interesting to see if we do get Trump or he doesn't make it. So, and he gets his, you know, brings crypto into, you know, the focus, which I do think he could do. As much as people don't like him, he's probably the better candidate for crypto. So yeah, we'll see what happens. So yeah, so that's kind of what's happening with Bitcoin at the moment. We do need to, you know, have one more wave in the wave that we're currently in. If not, it would just be an ABC and we'll probably get a wave failure. So if we're looking at, let me go back to that one with the WXY, this one here. So if we're looking at a wave failure, then ignore anything that's happening in that region. We're still in a WXYXZ or Z. So that would look like this, X, X, and then down here to complete that wave. So that's worst case scenario. That's coming down to about 46. That's our worst case scenario. So just be prepared for that in case it doesn't break out. Best case scenario, we break out, we retest that region as support, and we keep going to 98. So yeah, that's kind of it for Bitcoin.
Okay. What was there anything else you wanted to look at?
I want to have a look at Ethereum because it's got two very distinct patterns happening at the moment. So if we can just jump into that.
Yeah.
So we've got our ABC at the moment. So this could be an ABCDE. So this could be our E, our D, sorry. So A, B, C, D, E, coming down here. So that's potentially what ETH could be if it's bearish. Could do a new low, could do a double bottom, that sort of thing. That's bearish ETH. Likely has one more wave continuing. So for that pattern, if it is bullish, this is a truncated wave here, right here, truncated, and then has flipped to a bullish leading diagonal pattern, and it has one more wave. Leading diagonals will go at least 50% retrace, and then likely 100% retrace. So they normally sort of end where they began. So that's kind of the rule for leading diagonals. So that might see a double bottom after the next high, and then continuation up, which would reject at the resistance, coming back down, and then breaking out with a retest and a flip to support. So there are two scenarios for Ethereum. So we're kind of on the verge at the moment of just understanding where the market is going, whether it's bullish or bearish, and yeah, whether I've not put any rockets on because I'm not 100% sure which way we're going. Once we sort of start hitting pivots on charts on Bitcoin and Ethereum, then we'll have a greater idea of the overall direction.
And as Robbie says on YouTube, just to reiterate what you often say, always buy the C, you don't know if it's going to get to E. Isn't that right?
Yes, that is correct. You always buy the C. So because that way you can just keep moving your stop loss up. If it does end up to be a different pattern, you've just made some profit. So
very good. Okay, so let's wrap up knowing all we know about the charts and the week ahead. From a trader's perspective, where would you be, or where are you looking to be this week? Are you going to be trading? Are you going to be sitting on your hands? What's your kind of game plan?
I will be doing some scalps. We will be adding some scalps into getting started in crypto. We've got a couple of alts because they have come into pattern and there's no other alternate pattern that have gone up. So if there's no alternate pattern and we can go 100% sure, okay, this is the only pattern, then alts will go up. But the majority of what I'm doing at the moment is still dollar cost averaging into my long-term bags. I'm not sure how many have we got. I think we've got 2 or 3 DCAs to go.
Correct. We have, in fact, I can tell you, the 2 weeks on the 18th, I think, is our last DCA for now.
That's kind of where we're at the moment with that, because this is the part of the market where it's just sort of still a little bit indecisive. It's not letting us sort of know if we're in a full bull market yet. Everyone's saying this time's different. Who knows? They say that I've been in these bull markets every time, and I always hear at this point, oh my God, this cycle's different. And when we have a breakdown and we look at that quantitative chart that I've had, it's not any different. It's at the same point now. It's just a different part of the Elliott wave cycle. We're in a third wave, and corrections on third waves are really annoying. So because you've got a fourth wave, which is the longest, the most boring, and that's kind of what we have had. Whether that's a second or a fourth, we're yet to find out. So, and that would be sort of going into next year and seeing how high we can get. And essentially, Bitcoin could be seeing some really big figures.
Absolutely. Well, there's nothing wrong with getting high every now and again. So very good. Anything else you wanted to add on to that before we wrap up?
No, that's about it for this week. But so I hope everyone gets if they're in America, the president that they vote for. I hope you're all voting. I hope you're all having your say. And it's going to be a super interesting week ahead.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Have a great week ahead, and we will see you soon.
Cool. Bye, guys.